Hi, welcome to Haven. This is a podcast that's a safe space for curiosity and conversation. I'm your host, Haven, and today I'm curious why everything falls apart in 7th grade. Why everything falls apart in 7th grade. We all have those middle school memories and traumas and things that haunt us. And I was reading in a book club recently, and it was talking about why are these middle school years, why do they affect us so much? And it was talking about the brain and how something about white or gray matter, I'm probably going to botch it, but I know the concept. And it was basically saying that if you imagine kind of the things that solidify in your brain, that pre-middle school, it's like wet cement, where you can kind of put your finger and draw something about it and pull your finger out and the cement goes back. And after middle school, it's like hardened cement, that it's actually hard to go and change anything because things are hardened. But middle school, it's that in between from wet to complete cement. So whatever you draw in there has a likelihood of sticking and solidifying for the rest of your life, which feels so daunting. But it was saying that that era of time is not more stressful than any other moment of life, actually. It's not that middle school has more outside environmental factors that are more difficult than any other stage of life. It's just that the brain formation in that window is. And that's why we have palpable memories, palpable smells and sounds and styles that can either bring like nostalgia for us or re-trigger us. And I wanted to talk about this because I have a friend, her name's Gaia, and she is a middle school counselor. And so she talks to these kids in this formative age all the time. And I'm always like, what's happening in their world right now? What kind of things are they bringing to you? What are they saying in this day and age? And one time we were driving to dinner and she was going through this whole thing about some girl drama that happened in groups. And then she just casually said, well, you know, everything falls apart in 7th grade. And I literally stopped her and I go, Gaia, that's your book title. I was like, you have to write a book called Everything Falls Apart in 7th grade. One, because you have the expertise. She's going to go into the specifics of her education. I won't jump that, but she is an educated woman. She's done years in actual middle schools. She's coached parents through how to handle this. She once was a 7th grade girl herself. And I was like, it's such a unique slice of life as a parent who's going to prepare a little girl and little boy, of course. It's not gendered on that front. But to go into middle school, I'm really curious, how can I help? What can I expect? What is kind of normal? What's a deviation from normal? But also for myself, I want to look back and say, what was normal? What was not normal? What was typical to expect? What was different? And so I wanted to have this conversation because I feel like we all have that like middle school memory of time. And also maybe some of us are going to be parenting some middle schoolers in the future. And so I thought it was a really interesting concept. So she's been on the podcast before, but welcome back, Gaia.
Thank you so much for having me. This is the best highlight. I just love being here.
I know you're on my couch a lot. It's
in
just
many ways
rare when we do makeup and microphones.
And that's true, the makeup for sure. But I'm so happy to be here. And honestly, I was just thinking when you were giving that intro, like, I just can't believe I get to have you as a friend and like a career hype woman. Like, it's just such a gift. But this idea, it started off in a car ride, but like, it's so much bigger to me. Like, I feel like I'm creating like a whole world off of this topic. So I'm excited to explore it today.
You really are. So tell us a little bit about like your schooling background and your day job.
Yeah. So I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I have had the honor and privilege truly of working with middle school students, grades 4 through 8. So I get a little bit of that elementary space, which is fun and a little lighthearted when things get heavy. But I've been in that space for about 5 years, and I just really enjoy it. I think oftentimes when I share that I work in the middle school, I get a lot of like big eyes and like, oh my gosh, bless you. Like, what a stage, what an age. But they quickly have become some of my absolute favorites. Like, am enamored by the world that they're living in. And when they do share their hearts with me, it is the sweetest, most heartfelt thing.
So the fact that people give eyes, I remember that. I remember being in middle school and people being like, oh, middle school. Like it felt like this kind of running joke I wasn't privy to. And then even youth pastors that I loved, there's a real niche for middle school ones. Like they're kind of zany and they like pies in the face and they kind of have a silly sense of humor. Yeah. But I also felt like they were all overcompensating, explaining why they loved middle school. And I was like, man, if you really have to reach and explain it, like what's wrong with us?
Do you really love it? Yeah. Or are you doing us a favor investing in this wild in between?
Exactly. And I was like, why do middle schoolers have such a bad rap? But then I also remember that like we had this phrase, it just always smelled like ketchup and sweat.
That kind of does sum it up. Like,
is it just any room
have you
walk
learned hygiene?
into? It's just this bridge between childhood and like adolescence.
The parents are starting to step back, but there's a downside to that, right? Like, did they shower? Question mark. I don't know. Question mark.
Answer is probably not.
Probably not. Yeah, exactly. But no, truly, it is such an important time. And I love that we're having this conversation because you can't jump over it. Like, we don't get the luxury of just like, oh, things got harder, uncomfortable. We'll just skip that phase of parenting or of adolescence. That's not something we get to do. So it's really important to know how to navigate it well.
I think before we talk in generalizations, let's go in a time machine.
Ooh, I agree. We got to step into their shoes for a second.
Are we going back to middle school Gaia?
Oof. Yeah.
In middle school Haven. What were we like?
What were we like? The first thing I think of is like how I dressed and the trends I participated in. And I was thinking about this, particularly I grew up in the Midwest, Iowa. So like that right there, I think
salt says of the earth
so much. And I am proud of those roots. But I dressed in this very niche specific way, like Crocs. I don't know if you remember Crocs, but when they were in the first time, because they've had a resurgence.
I was going to say, they kind of came back.
And I feel a lot of sense of pride for that. Like, ooh, I did it first. But like in the Midwest, name brand Crocs, like you had to have like the original.
Also name brand, not Walmart Crocs.
No, you were not wearing Walmart. Like that was a division, you know? But name brand Crocs, and then we would all do sporting camps in the summer. That was the big thing to do because Iowa, there isn't much. So things like that are a really big deal. And we would all wear our sport camp shirts to school.
And Crocs in sport mode.
In sport mode, you know.
The strap on the back. Yes. You're ready to run.
Absolutely, you're ready to run. At our school currently, you're not allowed to wear Crocs because they're not safe. Maybe we should talk about sports mode. That could change the game.
Maybe that could make some safety over there.
Exactly. But that was a really big thing for me. Like that was a sense of fitting in. Like everyone was sporty. And whether I was or not, like I gave it my all. That's another thing I think of. Like I had a very sporty class. They were very athletically gifted. And I'm just not. Like, it's okay. Like, I was probably better, like, participating in choir or things of that nature. But I tried so hard. Like, I joined every team. I was on basketball. I scored a basket in the very last game, the very last, like, 3 minutes.
But who's counting?
But who's counting? Well, I'll never forget it.
Like, it was just the moment of glory of my whole life.
Or a bit traumatizing. No one knows. Still can't answer. But, like, I really gave it my all because I wanted to be a part and fit in. I think we'll get to that a little bit later, but that's a really distinct memory for me.
That part is huge, the wanting to fit in. So I had, speaking of like what did we participate in trend wise, I had some older cousins that I didn't see often, but they were like 5 years ahead of me. And I remember thinking they were so cool. They were 2 girl cousins. And I remember my older one was talking about how she worked at American Eagle. And I was like pretty sheltered. I didn't know a ton. And I thought, like, you remember Old Navy, how they did American flag wear? Yes. I just thought that was a whole store of patriotic clothes.
Oh, okay. So you didn't go to the mall very often?
No, I literally did not. Our clothes were, I don't remember, we wore Payless shoes.
Oh, yes.
You know?
I can relate to that one.
Exactly. And so I did not know many name brands. I just thought she worked at a patriotic store. And so I was trying to be cool and wear all of my American stuff. Be like, maybe she would think this is from American Eagle. And maybe she'll think I'm cool.
Oh, what was the letdown like on that one?
I don't, it was all in my head. That's another thing. I feel like so much of middle school is like this this stuff that's built up in your
A
head.
narrative that isn't even true.
No, sidebar, one time a couple years ago, I was babysitting this kid in middle school, and one of the things he wanted to do was go to a trampoline park. And I was like, okay, great. He kept doing this like somersault thing over and over. And then he was like, yeah, the reason I wanted to do this is because I'm going to someone's birthday party at a trampoline park coming up, and I really just want to do a somersault in front of everyone, and then everyone's gonna be like, whoa, I didn't know he knew how to somersault.
Oh my gosh, so he's practicing
this whole thing in his head of like, if I can nail this,
yes.
then in a couple weeks I can do this, be really cool and nonchalant, and then it's gonna play out like this.
And if, social cred.
And if that's not the picture of middle school,
yes,
is this built up thing in our head, trying to be cool for someone else, and then like, is it going to pan out that way? I don't know. But like in our head, we think that it will.
Absolutely. And the time and energy and effort, to your point, that we make to try and control this experience and experiment almost that middle school is.
Yes.
It's so much. And
hearing it hurts only because we know how it feels. I think hearing it hurts
and
for that
on the
reason.
other side, right? We're like looking back reflectively. And it's like, oh man, I wish it could be different for you. But we all kind of had to go through it. So for that, it's a rite of passage.
That is kind of the point. But eventually I figured out what American Eagle was.
Okay,
and then I loved it. And then I would wear the polos, and like the pants, and then do you remember the moccasin kind of clogs?
Oh my gosh, yes. That was like the UGG before the UGG almost.
Exactly. And then you'd wear like sometimes a collared shirt with like a baby tee.
Do you remember the lace camisoles?
Oh, classic. Because I also remember our church did a fashion show, and they were like, modest is hottest. And they did all layering. They're like, you can wear a cami here, and you can wear it with this. And like, it was a propaganda for covering yourself.
It hurts a little bit, but yes, I think we all have that memory. I also remember when Hollister like threw up on everything. Like it was everywhere. I remember I had moved to Colorado the summer of 8th grade, and suddenly my sports attire like leveled up, and it was like the khaki Bermuda shorts, the layering tees. Like that was a whole nother world.
So again, this may be where we differ. I was so sheltered, was not even allowed to walk in the store.
It was controversial.
It was controversial. And now I'm like, yeah, those are like child sex symbols. That's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But my mom would be like, look at your shoes. Because it's like these ripped like teenagers outside. And I just remember like the smell overwhelming me of the perfume. And it was so dark. Like in Hollister, or in Abercrombie and Hollister. And it was like, I don't know, it was like the My Sweet 16 era. And it just felt so like, what happens in there?
You know what comes to mind? Like if Abercrombie can rebrand, like we can make it out of middle school.
Wow.
You know?
This is the end arc of the episode of like, you know what? You could rebrand.
If Abercrombie can do it, you can.
If Abercrombie, you can.
Like, I feel like a lot of my closet these days has Abercrombie in it.
It's true. And they had to convince me to come.
Yeah,
they had
they
to
did it.
They had to
like
prove it.
Light and airy and elevated
and body diversity.
They really did that.
You know what's funny? My uncle, who let's see, how many years older is he? Is like 6 or 7 years older than me, but he was like he's been on this podcast before. He's super handsome, and he was the one where they just paid them to stand outside the store. He was
a model.
He was like the ones where they literally said, you're attractive and you'll get people in here, so we're going to pay you to just stand outside the front doors.
That era did exist. Like,
objectifying young men? That's insane.
Problematic on so many levels.
But okay, hair trend.
Yes, we're back.
Do you remember the poof?
Do I remember the time I spent in the morning perfecting the poop? Perfecting
it, and then like the bobby pins that would go around the back.
The diagonal cross.
I loved that hairstyle.
Do we bring it back?
I would in a heartbeat.
You know, I don't think we're far off. Like we're tiptoeing into the 2000s. I think that could be coming.
I hope it does. But the poof, and then I also like we grew up in the era without YouTube. Without TikTok, we had no tutorials for style. So if we saw something, we had to, on a hope and a prayer, recreate it at home. That's true. And then if it didn't work, too bad, you're still going to school.
You're still going to school. And I think that is a blessing too, that we grew up outside of that social media era where everything was captured and posted.
Oof.
I think we could even talk about that too, right? Like middle schoolers are growing up in a completely different world that's only complicating the middle school journey. Like I thank God we did not grow up in the middle school era of like Snapchat and TikTok.
No, I think it'd be stressful, but also just the stupid stuff documented. I remember I had a digital camera. We would film, my best friend Erin and I, not my husband, a girl Erin. She and I would record ourselves singing Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson.
Yes.
In our rooms and like doing like the dancing. And like one time we jumped off the bed and it broke and we fell. We caught it on camera.
You're right. Photo shoots were our version of that. I remember having some epic photo shoots.
And then everything went, well, okay. This is also what I remember going into our version of tech. Xanga started, which was kind of this like weird bloggy style. And then it turned to MySpace, which was fun. But I think we got a small glimmer of what people are affected with today, where I remember top 8 stressing me out.
Okay, so I feel like for being sheltered, I'm surprised you had a MySpace.
You know what? Now that you mention it, me too.
Yeah.
Our internet went off at 8 o'clock.
Okay. That tracks.
So,
and I love that, by the way. Now as an adult, I'm like, yes, I'm copying that.
Well, yes. And again, kids will find ways to work around. I was not like a huge break the rules deceiving kind of kid, but I did realize if you change the time zone on the computer,
oh my gosh,
the Wi-Fi stays on. If you're like, well, in Australia, it's 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So I'd hear footsteps and be like, change it back to
Central
Time.
You've always been so brilliant. That's really impressive.
I know, it's kind of freaky, but
top 8, yes.
Top 8, because 1, it's not only who do I put in mine, but 2, you are mentally tracking who's you're in. Yeah. And if you get demoted a number or if you get taken off. I remember one time my friend took me off hers and I was like crushed and devastated and confused. And like, do you bring it up to her? It feels also kind of silly to be embarrassed by. But clearly that's something. And I just remember it was really like weird and painful.
It's almost like today's version of a group chat.
Yes.
That's a really popular thing, is kids getting bumped in and out of group chats. And I feel like it has that same just like sting, but you don't really know how to act on it and handle it. It just hurts.
Yeah, it's exactly like that kind of thing. If I remember tech, like our entryway or AIM was big.
Yeah.
You remember?
Do you remember your username? AIM.
Mine was My Safe Haven 4.
Wow, not much has changed.
No, actually I also had Proverbs 4 Rocks with an X that I've talked about before. But that was my first one, and then I transitioned to my name.
It's okay. Mine was I've always been short and petite, so mine was Shorty MV, because I grew up in Mount Vernon. 1.
Shorty MV. I'm surprised it wasn't MV. Shouty.
That shows how sheltered I was. Like, I didn't even know probably that was the other way to say it. But Shorty MV1, it followed me for a long time, which is the concerning part.
Well, it actually kind of goes into identity. It's like, I feel like in middle school, there's also these identities of like, I'm the short girl.
Yes.
You know?
So true.
I'm the soccer girl.
You lean in hard.
You're like, this is my thing. I also remember, speaking of identity, I had this because I was thinking, prepping for this episode, I was like, what are the formative conversations of like when you're trying to place who you are? And one came to mind. I had this friend and her name was Allie Powers. And she, to this day, is the most strikingly beautiful person I've ever seen in my life. Like, genuinely, she just captivates a room. Like, she's just one of those people that would get stopped all the time and people would tell her. And I remember just knowing that she was beautiful and not thinking too much about it, but seeing the attention that got from everyone. And one time we were in a car, me, her, another girl, our youth pastor, and his wife. And this part of the conversation always struck with me because he was talking to her, and it's going to sound a little strange. It wasn't at the time, but he was saying, like, you know, everyone has different strengths. Like, you know, Allie, like, Esther was so beautiful and God used her to save a people, like from her beauty or just something like that. And I remember in my head thinking, oh, like, so she's the beautiful one, like in this room, like that's her thing, and kind of feeling like a little kind of like sad about myself, or I didn't really kind of think too much on that, but I was like, he only singled her out, and like this is her thing, and like, okay, well, if she's the beautiful one, like what am I? Like what am I in this? And now I also look as an adult, and I also feel bad for her on that front, is like being reduced down.
Yeah.
You know,
There's
to
more.
The thing that you are is just this external beauty or whatever, and she had so much more outside of that. So I'm sad for me in the car as a 7th grader, and I'm kind of sad for her in the car. I know that guy was well intentioned. I'm sure he said something about everyone in the car. I just only remember that.
Yeah.
I only remember in my head, because it also feels binary. If like, if you're the soccer girl, I can't be. If you're the short girl and you're shorter than me, I can't be the short girl. So I was like, oh, she's the beautiful girl, so that's not me.
It makes me, where my brain immediately goes when you share that story, is how powerful our words are to teens and adolescents when they're in this phase, because I feel like everything I say, I'm like speaking to a sponge. Like they just are like soaking up every word, whether it's encouragement or even encouragement that they interpreted as pressure, or that they, like, you weren't even talking to them. Like your youth pastor was talking to Allie, but you absorbed that information and created meaning out of it. And it just is such a stark reminder of like, wow, like they hear everything during this phase and they soak it up.
And it can change and almost be a limiting belief if we don't go back and revisit it. And I feel for that youth pastor, because he was trying to encourage.
Totally.
Just, like, it wasn't even ill-intended thing.
Totally.
But I had another person I was talking to once in this age where my whole dream was to be the president. Like, just so serious about it. And I remember they asked me at this age, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, oh, I plan to be the first female president of the United States. I was like, but I'll probably go to law school first, and then, had this plan. And then they said, oh, I don't know if that's a good idea. And I was like, wait, like, why would you say that?
Yeah.
And they said, well, because, you're a Christian, and mixing Christianity is like ice cream, and politics is like poop. And if you mix them together, it just ruins the ice cream.
Wow, what a metaphor.
Literally. And so I, again, the sponge in my head was like, if I have to choose between my dreams and God, I'll sacrifice my dreams. Wow. Like, I love God. I would never do anything that would potentially affect this relationship and, who God is in my life. And that stuck with me, like up until early 20s, when I revisited and I go, that was messed up.
Absolutely.
Like, that was wrong.
Yeah.
But it was after I had changed the trajectory where in my head, that was the limiting belief of, to please God, to make the most impact, you have to work at a church.
Yeah.
You have to go into ministry. You have to do this thing and bypass the actual calling and the actual dream. I'm not saying I'm called to be the president, but
who knows? I don't know. I'm not.
Don't put it past
never.
me.
Yeah, exactly.
But that part in my life, but it's this formative thing of this person that I looked up to.
Yeah.
But it was the concrete in my brain that was between wet and dry, and it solidified. Did you have any of those kind of either conversations or experiences?
Yeah, I'm trying to think back to my childhood, but an experience I just shared with a student the other day was how I got stuck in a moment of like, wow, I don't think my words landed the way I wanted them to. She's a leader. Like, she's a very large presence and someone that I want students to follow, right? And she was having a difficult day. And myself and several other adults in her life have shared that sentiment of like, you're a leader and students are going to follow you. Like, let's go good places. Like, let's move in this direction so that you can be the leader that takes others with you. And she reflected back with me the other day, like, that put so much pressure on her, and she just wanted to be 12. Wow. And I got this whole like unloading of just like, everyone tells me I'm a leader and I'm like, wow, what I meant as something to be so encouraging got stuck, right? Of like, she interpreted it and saw it so differently. And so almost the undoing. And I feel like that's why staying in those conversations and encouraging conversations at this age, because words land differently depending who you're saying them to. And I would hate to be the person that one day she looks back and is like, man, my counselor told me X, Y, and Z, and that one really got in my head. So I think about my words a lot for these exact reasons.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, I don't know, freaky how it sticks.
It is.
But you said to keep having those conversations, but sometimes I feel like that's hard with middle schoolers to get them to talk about things. So how do you get them to keep engaging in conversations when they're kind of pulling away from family and kind of more redirected towards having those conversations with peers who are often as misguided as themselves?
So true. Blind leading the blind a little bit.
Yeah.
I love this topic because I think parents, their desire is to stay connected to their child, and in the same breath, their child is going to pull away, whether it's during 7th grade, middle school in general. So my takeaway and encouragement to parents is, yes, stay close, but also create space. And by space, I mean like allow for the fullness of their emotions. If they confuse you, odds are they are confused too. And we'll jump into a little bit more of the practicals of what that can look like. But I really believe that just making space for no bad emotion to take place, but just allowing them to all come out. And that happens by communicating to them that it's a safe place to do that. One way you can do that is by sharing like a joint journal. I love that idea of having like a mom-daughter journal or a dad-son journal that you can leave on each other's beds and leave little notes or share reflections from the day or little love notes. And there's no pressure to like respond immediately, but it's just there. And it takes away the pressure of like eye contact and some of those more just like intense feelings. But it's like, hey, I was thinking about you today, or I got you this thing because it reminded me of you, or special time. I think really scheduling like one-on-one time with your child to delight in them, like not for the sake of like, we have to go do this thing, but hey, I just want to spend time with you. I want to connect with you. I want to do what you love. Like, do they want to go get their nails done? Do they want to go for a walk? Do they want to sit and play a card game? Like just spending time. You'll be surprised. Like what comes out. I know also you've talked so much about window time, like at bedtime. I know your mom was like the queen of that. I love that. I think that kind of goes along with the sentiment of just like take these small spaces of time and use them wisely.
I love that. So window time is where my mom at the end of the day would come and sit on our individual beds. There were 3 kids and we were all born within like a year of each other. And so it was just a lot happening during the day. Yeah. But we knew at the end of the day, like we would hang out in our beds until it was our time for her to come. And she would spend as much time as we needed with her. And we'd talk about the day. And it was my time to ask her if I had any questions or confusion, and just to talk back and forth. She would always ask if there's anything we needed to confess, which I actually liked. It kind of helped feel...
It's like an invitation. Takes the pressure off.
Yeah, and it felt like we could stay clean from the day, and it wasn't a time for like punishment or reprimand. Like it was celebrated to come forward with something. And I don't know, I just looked forward to it. I remember when I did a clip about window time that like went viral.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I had some childhood friends right on there and be like, I remember I came for sleepovers and your mom would do window time.
Yes, Rachel said that the other day in book club.
Yes.
Wow, that's so special.
She did. And I don't know, I just loved that because I think also a part of it is just consistency. Like you say, stay close but give space.
Yeah.
I don't remember my mom until I would need my mom. Or I would go to my mom. But she was there. It's like she would do a drive and a pickup, or she was around. But I feel like there is this part of middle school where it is like the narcissistic years. Yeah. Isn't that one of the terms?
Oh my gosh, it's all about you. Like you are your whole world.
Exactly. And so I was not, like my mom was a side character until I needed her.
I was going to say, but the little investments, be it window time or being the joint journal, is communicating, even subconsciously, I'm here, but then not putting that pressure on that it has to look a certain way so that when they need you, they know.
See, that's the thing is I know she was always available and initiating. It didn't feel like I had to initiate too much. I just had to take the next opportunity. Or we didn't do a joint journal. But when I went to sleepaway camp, she would write me. They could email and print them off, and she would write me every day. And I loved those. Like she would do thoughtful things, not just hope you're having fun. Tell me. It was today I did this and it made me think of you, or this was happening and you're going to laugh at this joke, or like It was connecting in a way
Yes.
that wasn't just mom looking down.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking when you said that, my mom always wrote little notes in my lunchbox because I packed a lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like sneakily reading them because you're like embarrassed that mom wrote you a note. But in the same breath, like looking back at it as an adult, I'm like, wow, those were the little connection points that created that safety. Even when I maybe was pushing away a little bit, whether I knew it or not, like she remained connected to me. And I think that's what both of our moms did really beautifully. But then in the same breath, like, okay, that's to stay close, and the create space is understanding that other voices are going to get louder in their life. Friends being the primary one.
I was going to say, so I think middle school friendships, I feel like we could camp out there
all day.
So I want to hear your experience. Mine was I moved from California to Texas when I was 11.
Yes.
So like right in this peak formative years. And so I was going into 7th grade.
Wow.
When we moved.
What a transitional year.
It really was.
Yeah.
And I remember the first thing I did was some type of winter camp.
Okay.
And just to raw dog a winter camp, not knowing anyone.
That's so Haven coded. Like, it's fine. I'll just go to winter camp with 0 friends.
0 friends.
That's amazing.
Well, no.
Did it go well or yeah?
I remember I literally had the wherewithal as an 11-year-old as like, well, the only people accepting me are the emo outsiders because they understand being on the outside and I'll take what I can get. Yes. I was like, I don't identify as an emo outsider, but these people are accepting me, and the girls that I actually want to be friends with aren't talking to me because they already have their friends. But eventually I want to get in that friend group, but I'm going to take whatever I can get right now. And I just remember being like, you just know, you're like, this is the long game. The girls that are actually interested, like, they're not going to randomly be like, oh, let me look around for...
Totally. And they're not even being exclusive, right? They're just like, my needs are met. Like, sorry to the new girl. Yeah.
Exactly. I also remember being scandalized on the bus because, again, I was so naive. And the stuff they were talking about.
Oh, yeah. Leave it to a bus ride in middle school.
Leave it to a bus ride. I remember it was like way before they made specifics of like no guys and girls sitting together.
Okay.
Dude, the stuff under blankets that I was like, what? Girls were flashing people in the back of the bus. It was
this like day to day, like school trips, or like you're talking like
you want to make
trips?
It work?
Yeah.
It was a church camp.
Oh, no.
Isn't that wild?
That's wild.
I know, and I remember I came back and my mom was like,
coin.
what in the world? I sent you to a church camp and then you just came back with the most insane information. And I was like, I know, lady. I don't even understand what happened.
Me?
Yeah. And so that part was the craziest.
Yeah, that's wild.
But it was like, it was all these terms I didn't know and all these things. But I remember trying to figure out like, okay, I'll take this friend group, but I eventually want this other one. Like these are the girls that I actually want.
Yeah.
But I'm in this weird in between. You're just like, I just don't want to be alone.
100%. I watch that happen every day, but I know that happened for me personally too. Friends for me, I always got stuck in a group of 3. I don't know if you ever experienced that or had friends that experienced that, but it was always like me and another girl, and then we were friendly to a third person, you know, brought them in, and then I always ended up being the one that was slowly kind of pushed away. It like stings to think about the memories. Like speaking of bus rides, like we'd go on field trips, you know, like you can sit by one other person.
Oh no.
And I felt like I was always just the easy one to kind of like put to the side. It just like
it's a bus ride, or if you go to like Six Flags,
yes,
it's the stress of who's gonna ride with me on this roller coaster.
Yes.
Or am I gonna be by myself? Like if there's an odd number, it's so stressful.
Sleepaway camps, all of that, right? Like you're just like creating your cabin, bunk beds, like, oh my gosh, it's just like magnified. And I remember that was a very popular experience for me. Like I was always caught in a group of 3, and it never got easier. There was no like magic way out. Like it just stung.
Yeah.
Some tough lessons in that one.
Tough lessons. Oh, little Gaia.
I know. I feel for her. We're healing.
We're healing. Also, though, similar to what I learned on the bus is like everything's changing, including your scenario, but also your body's changing.
Yes, your body is changing. Oh my goodness, your body's changing. Yes, we can talk on a personal level about this one, but I see this more than anything, I feel like, right? Like just the high highs and the low lows when they come into my office and they're like, Miss A, I don't even know why I'm crying right now. And then even the education around that, particularly for girls, of like, yes, you don't know, but there's something that you have yet to experience or fully grasp, right? Like you are about to get your cycle, and that is a whole nother world that affects your emotions. And there's so much there. Like there's just so much new that they're experiencing. And that's just why I'm like such an advocate for family, because you have to stay close because they're still a kid. Like they still need you, right?
I remember my mom said me that once. She said, hey, as a girl, you're just going to cry for no reason sometimes.
Yes.
And I remember feeling so relieved. I would just be like, I'm just crying for no reason.
Literally, I'm like, here's a heating pad, sit down on the beanbag. It's going to be okay. You know, not trying to make everything a thing or help them understand it. Just today, it just feels like that. But tomorrow will feel different.
Yeah. But also I remember with the body changing, I remember being like so psyched for a bra. Like I just knew, I always knew I wanted boobs. I knew that it was in my future.
That was a big moment.
Counting down the moments till my own ones grew. I was like, I'm going to be a woman. I also couldn't wait for my period. I was like, when's it coming? I'm ready.
I had the longest wait for that.
You actually did?
Yes. I got mine at 18.
That's crazy.
Which was crazy. And that's a whole nother thing. It's very unspoken, right? Like I think a lot of girls don't talk about this because it's so taboo, even though it's a collective experience. Nobody wants to share about it, right? So they'll like go through it in such an isolated way. But my volleyball team had like bets on me in high school, like when I was going to get it.
Who won?
They all lost because I was out of high school.
You're like, and ultimately I lost.
Exactly. But I remember that day being like so excited / relieved, because by that point I was like, this is a concern.
You're like, wait, is this a medical thing?
Yeah, exactly. This is turning serious. But I feel like that's such a great point. Like that is a whole world that we aren't even talking about, that we're all walking through, like next to each other, but not together.
I also remember in middle school, so my mom started me off with pads or whatever, just the most basic. And I remember, man, a lot of stuff happened at camp for me. I was at another camp and the girls are like, you should do a tampon. And I was like, I'm scared. They're like, we'll stand on the other side of the door and we'll coach you through it.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm in the bathroom. I'm like, okay, which one? And they're like, it's kind of the middle second one. Don't go far back. I was like trying to, and they showed me before how to do it.
Oh my gosh. I showed you like
it. Yeah. And so I did it and I came out. I was like, woo! But then it gets worse.
Oh no.
Then on the ride back, there was this guy that liked me, and I didn't know if I really liked him, but I was like, we had this stop, and I was like, oh, we'll go walk around this area together while we're on this stop. And I knew I had to change my tampon. So I was like, can we swing by the restroom? And I went in there and I messed up the first one. And I was like,
your crush is waiting outside?
Well, I didn't even know if it was my crush, but I just didn't want to do this around a guy. But then I couldn't figure out the second one, and it was taking me forever. Like it probably took me like 5 to 10 minutes, and I was like, he thinks I'm pooping. But that feels less embarrassing than saying I can't figure out a tampon.
Totally.
And so I remember being panicked, like I can't get this thing to work, and once it's out, like from the little encasing.
The applicator,
And I just remember being like, I never should have done this. Like, where are those pads when I need them? And like, I just remember coming out like so embarrassed that I took so long, and I just didn't acknowledge it. I go, thanks for waiting.
Oh my gosh, wait, I love that.
Walk around, because I was like, I'm not saying anything. I know he thinks I pooped. I'm not saying anything.
That was so poised. Like, that was amazing. It's so true, though. Those are like the milestones that we literally all have to live through in middle school.
Sheer panic. Like some of the most heightened emotions I've ever felt were in middle school.
Absolutely. And you have no like context of the greater world or how it's all going to fall into place. So it's funny to like look back at it almost of like, oh my gosh, if only little Haven and little Gaia knew. Like it was all going to be okay. But I say this all the time, like in middle school, what is happening in their world is the end of the world. Even though we're zoomed out and like have perspective, we're like, oh, if only they knew this was like this big. In their world, it is so big. It's everything. And it should be, because it's their only lived experience. So I have to remind myself of that often. Like, I know it feels really small, but like these tears are so big to them.
Now a quick pause to hear from my sponsors.
Okay, babe, what's your favorite fight that we've ever had?
Favorite?
Your favorite fight.
Okay, the first one that comes to mind is when we had Disneyland annual passes, and it would take like an hour or an hour and a half to get there every time. And we are just car fighters. We just now know we can't fight in a car. But you got so upset that we had to pull over. And then my thought was like, wait, are we going to Disneyland or not?
We fought a lot of times on the way to the happiest place on earth. That could be the descriptor of our entire marriage. But we've created a course called How to Fight Better
With our actual marriage counselor, Dr. Jonathan Cood, who's helped us through many fights throughout the journey of our relationship. But he's given us helpful and practical tools of how to fight better. And we really wanted to share them with you guys. We didn't have a healthy model of conflict growing up. We had to learn these. And so we really wanted to be able to break it down. And it's so much bigger than a podcast episode. These are important things where the modules are small chunks. You watch them with your partner, and then you have an entire discussion together. We're really, really proud of it. It's something that's helped our relationship thrive. So if you go to joinpillowtalk.com, you can get How to Fight Better. It's out now. Okay, back to the episode. Now that we've left our trauma dump.
Yeah. It was a little cathartic.
It felt kind of good. Like, because even prepping for this episode, I was like, oh my gosh, I had a lot of formative experiences.
Don't you feel like a lot of us, though, like, kind of, we joke that we block it out, but I think we kind of do.
It just takes one. It's almost like, for me, the smell of fresh cut grass makes me think of childhood, like baseball. Like, you just smell it, and then all of a sudden the memory comes.
Yeah.
I feel like this. It's like just think about the topic, and then, oh my gosh, like
there's a whole world.
Yeah, this like unearthed.
I love what you said. It's like equal parts nostalgia, equal parts like little T trauma, you know?
Yes.
Like some of that I'm like, oh my gosh, the sweet like old days, I loved those. And others like, yeah, I'm really great leaving that there.
I did have one highlight though from middle school.
It
wasn't even my own thing. Having an older popular brother, the ultimate
dreamed
flex.
of an older brother.
Like literally all of the hot older guys, they were at my house on the weekends. I had the in, and they were cool, and they were musicians.
Kind of paid off for you in the long run.
It did.
It not?
I married one of them.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's amazing.
Well, I'm like, he had braces.
Well, yeah, and at that point, that's kind of social suicide a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But I remember being like, I always make homemade cookies in cute pajama boxer shorts. Like,
yeah,
you know,
this
like
is my regular Friday routine.
Yeah, what are you talking about? This is so normal for me. And just like, and I remember like just hoping to like cross paths in shared spaces, or like I was already here watching a movie if you guys are coming, or like I remember again, under the blankets, I never got explicit, but under the blankets, like the hand here, and then one of his other friends, and then it was like pinkies, and then it's like whatever, and then you're like holding hands. And you're just like, your heart is insane, and you're just like, holding hands. This is amazing. Don't let anyone know. I love holding hands.
I love holding hands. I have peaked. We are holding hands.
Yes. That to me was like, this is the most my heart has ever raced.
Oh my gosh. It was just so pure.
It was. I'm like chasing that high.
I know.
Like, as an adult, have I ever felt that? You know what I mean?
There's a sweetness.
The highest of highs, the lowest of lows.
The highest of highs, the lowest of lows. It really sums it up. It does.
But I have a question for you.
Yes.
Why does everything fall apart in 7th grade?
Okay.
You said the statement.
Hard pivot.
And now you got to back it up.
I got to back it up. I know. Everything falls apart in 7th grade because 7th grade is the middle. It is the middle of the middle, right? Like a lot of middle schools are 6th through 8th. 6th grade, you are like the new ones on campus. It's so exciting. Like you have left elementary and you are in the middle school now, and it feels really exciting. You want to be there. 8th grade, you're like, I have one more year left and I'm going to go over to the high school, whether that's on the same campus or you're going somewhere else. You're like, I'm so close to being a part of this high school situation. Middle school, 7th grade, like you're stuck. You kind of feel stuck. There isn't like a thing that you're really excited for. The purpose is like, I just got to keep going, you know, like there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And there's also that you're in that space when like you are seeking autonomy. You are seeking an identity outside of your mom and dad. Like I feel in 6th grade, my experience is that you still think adults in your life are really cool, whether it's your teachers or your mom and dad. Like you want to associate with them, but then you want to go do your own thing, but then come back. and like check in, right? Where in middle school, your identity really starts to get built outside of your family unit. And that's vulnerable. And that leads to putting a lot of pressure on our friendships. And I think that's where we'll spend some time in this conversation too, is like how to navigate the middle school 7th grade friendship, because that's where this idea that everything falls apart comes from, because it kind of does. And my take is that it kind of should, because it needs to, in order to rebuild it. And you can go into high school with like a really great foundation, but not being scared of the 7th grade fall apart, I think is the beauty of 7th grade, is just letting it be a little bit rocky, because that forms you.
What can you expect to happen in 7th grade? Like, what are the typical things that, not that anyone can be prepared, but that you just have seen time and time again?
Yeah. I think pressure is a big one. You start to take on more responsibility. Naturally, academics get more challenging. There's more after school commitments. You're starting to take your extracurricular more seriously, be it sports or the arts. There's more responsibility at home. You're starting to learn what you're capable of versus what your parents do for you, right? So there's pressure on you. And some students and individuals thrive under pressure. They like come alive, you know, oftentimes like the eldest firstborn daughter. Like there is a demographic where they do really well in that. But there's also that the pressure can just absolutely create the fall apart. And that's where the emotions get really big, because in that same breath, there's puberty. In that same breath, there's the friendship dynamics. And what I've witnessed in friendship a lot is that there's a lot of crumbling of friendships and rebuilding of friendships, and crumbling of friendships and seeking out new friendships, because your identity is forming. So one moment you share, like a lot of friendships are built around shared interests. But shared interests can change, right? So as they do, you naturally drift apart, but it can feel so personal, because I believe like deep down at the core of all of us as human beings, we all are focused on our identity and our belonging. So who are we and who do we belong to? And in middle school, those questions are like bigger than ever, right? So our shared interests speak into our identity, and then our identity shapes who we spend time with, which is our belonging. And as those things are constantly in flux, that means our friendships are going to be in flux. But because we've left our family system a little bit and our friends have become so valuable to us, when we lose a friendship, that is scary territory, because it can mean that you're kind of independent or lonely for a moment as you discover like what's next for you. And that can be, I think that's scary for all of us, but really scary when you're 12.
Really scary when you're 12.
Yeah.
If a little 7th grade girl is coming in your office, what's she saying to you?
Yeah, a lot of it is around friendship. A lot of it is so-and-so looked at me this way, or so-and-so dropped me from the group chat, or some of them are still playing Roblox. That's like a really big thing. So like different video games we're being excluded from, or I believe there's a big like overexposure dilemma going on in our culture, that a lot of kids are growing up really fast. So they're seeing things that are just far beyond their years, but developmentally they're not ready to process those things. So they're kind of stuck in this like, I've seen this and I think I need to be that, but I'm also 11 or 12. So it's a lot of like big questions about their identity, about like how they should be perceived, about boys, about big questions. I work at a Christian school, so sometimes faith will come up in different spaces like that. But it's a lot of just like, I'm having all these feelings and I don't really know where to place them.
What is a 7th grade boy coming into your office for? Or are you telling him you're coming into my office? He's not seeking you out.
It's way more few, far, and in between, but I will give them credit. I've had some really awesome boys come in my office and really use the supports that are available to them. But yes, it's very girl heavy for sure. I think boys, friendships look different, right? Like their meaning and identity isn't as tied up in that. I think a lot of their identity is tied up in performance, like being the best on the sports team, being really good at their craft and what they do. I was talking to some colleagues about this the other day, that in today's day and age, more than ever, I feel like there's so much pressure at just being so good at everything you do. Like, I believe that like you and I did all the things these middle schoolers are doing. Like, we were part of leadership. We played sports. We did theater. Like, I had all my after school activities. I hung out with friends. I had family outings. Like, my calendar was just as full, but I don't remember having the same applied pressure.
I think now it's not just soccer, it's club.
Totally.
Like, you don't get to start soccer at 8 or 9 to learn the game.
Mhm.
There are people that have played for 5 years then,
Yes.
and everyone's really good, and there's no like learning or entry opportunities.
Or enjoyment, like just doing it because you love it. And I think that speaks exactly to what I was going to say of like, now you have to be the professional. Like, oh, if you're going to play football, the end goal must be the NFL. Or if you are interested in the arts, like Julia and Broadway are like your future, you know, instead of like, hey, this is just a passion. I'm going to explore it because it's a great social opportunity and I'm learning and growing. There's so much pressure. And I think that really can plague the boys even more so than the girls. They have a very social world. And I think especially the boys in my setting are very high achieving, and there's a lot of pressure for who they're going to become. And it just seeps and gets like earlier and earlier and earlier that they develop this stress.
How as parents do we relieve that pressure?
Yeah, I know. That's $1 million question. I will with some kids literally take a paper plate and I'm like, okay, we're going to draw out like a pie chart of like all the responsibilities you have. I'm like, oh no, like we literally ran out of space. Like your metaphorical plate and this physical plate are full. So like, what are we going to do? Right. And I think that part of that is having conversations with your child. I'm just such a proponent of like, yes, stay in their world, stay in their space, help them make decisions. Let them make decisions because they are like entering this world of freedom and autonomy. But I really believe firmly in remaining the parent. And sometimes the parent has to make hard decisions. So if you're a child, if you're witnessing that they're just overloaded and they aren't handling the stress well, you might need to step in and relieve them of that and say, hey, actually, we're going to take a year off of club. Or actually, you can't do 4 extracurriculars. You have to choose 3. And they may not be happy about that, but they're not going to quit one on their own because they think they can do it all. And that's going to create a power struggle. Like, you need to be the parent. Kind of what I was saying earlier. Like, they are still a child and they still need a parent. And sometimes you need to be the one that's the bad guy because ultimately it's a boundary, right? And we've talked on other episodes, I feel like, and just in personal conversation, that boundaries are one of the most loving things you can do for a child is put safety around them.
Yeah, and being okay with them being mad at you.
Yeah. No matter their reaction, you can handle it.
You can handle it and you're going to stay your ground. I love Dr. Becky says that. Is like she's saying that as a parent, you're essentially like the pilot of an airplane. And if the pilot of the airplane says something like over the intercom to the passengers of like whatever thing that they don't want to hear, and then they start grumbling and kind of mad, and then the pilot gets on and is like, oh, well, okay, like we can such and such. They'd be like, wait, we have the power to change the pilot? Like, that's kind of freaky. What you said before, did you not mean it? Like, that's also the difference.
Yeah, it makes them question everything, and then they suddenly feel unsafe. So coming in and giving them concrete answers is very loving. And then remaining in their emotion, like not completely just tapping out, but like, man, you're really disappointed. And we can be disappointed, but I'm helping you in the long term. And you can't see it right now, and that's okay. But that's my role as a parent. You know,
you were talking before about like overexposure and that sort of thing, and just obviously it's a really interconnected through social media and everything. What's your take on how kids aren't saying professions when they want to grow up? They're not saying, I want to be XYZ. The number one things that kids are saying is, I want to be famous. What about that? Because also famous, it's such an elusive thing, or an influencer. It's not the craft that got you there. It's not the passion that comes out in success. It's not the journey or the life calling. It's just this vague end result that is maybe even fleeting.
And I think it's what they've seen and what they've been told to value. Like, these are the people that have made it. In our like time and culture right now, are the influencers, are the content creators, which is amazing. Like, we're sitting here making a podcast. It's so it can be, and it can be really fun, right? Like, this is fun. But I think that comes down to, what is the value system that you're being raised with at home, and like, how are you speaking into your child's life I love like dream. Let them dream that they want to become an influencer. Like you should want to be the president of the United States. Like those are fun dreams. But like what are you tangibly doing to build skills in their life that match the value set that you have as a home?
Mm-hmm.
And the overexposure thing, I think where that gets them in trouble is when there's not enough present parenting going on. So they can be overexposed to the world. They can see a lot of things. And just like you said, like you knew how to like rig the Wi-Fi. Like they are very bright. Like they will find a way to be overexposed no matter how sheltered you create their life to be. So what is the value system that they're coming home and bumping up against? Like what's that little voice in their head that's like, mom and dad taught me differently, or these are the values that I grew up with, and this is coming up against that, and it's going to make me question things eventually.
The workarounds are interesting because I had a guest once that was a 14-year-old, and there's one clip that was one of my most viral ever. I think it got like 4 or 5 million views, and she was talking about the way that teens work around screen time closure. She was like, we can open up a Google Doc.
The Bible app, right?
The Bible. Well, that's the thing. She was explaining her answers, and then people were commenting. That's why it went viral.
Oh, okay.
It's because people were commenting, and someone said, I caught my child sending nudes on the Bible app.
I mean.
And she was like,
wow.
I thought they were reading scripture.
And like a really like beautiful routine that you want to give them the freedom to have.
10 hours on the Bible app. That's kind of crazy.
Exactly. Something's not adding up here. But I think it's so important. And that's why it comes back to this time you spend with your child and the secure attachment that you have with them so that they can come up against some of this cultural stuff with the values that you have as a family.
What age do you think a child should have access to a phone? And then second question, and then access to social media, because those aren't one and the same.
Dun, dun, dun. It's like the $1 million question.
I was going to say, so give us a one line that we will hold you to forever.
I know, right? My opinion is not allowed to change. No, I reserve the right to change my opinion. But right now, one of my favorite quotes that I recently heard therapists say in the area is, do not bring tech into your home until you're ready to parent the technology. And I think that applies to really any parenting principle. Is like, don't allow this in your home until you're ready to parent it. So I think in terms of tech, that means you have to be an active participant in part of this story. Like if you're going to bring tech into the home and allow them to have a phone, you need to be along the journey with them. You need to constantly be learning, listening to the podcast, finding out about the newest technology that helps you manage tech in the home. Like you have a responsibility in this time as well. It's not just handing over a phone and saying good luck, like have fun. It's kind of the equivalent of like, I've heard like the metaphor of dropping a child into a zoo with all of the gates open. And it's like, would you let your child just go parade around a zoo when like the lions and the tigers and the bears could come out and like mingle around your child and it's suddenly really unsafe? It's kind of the same principle of like, are you just going to give them a phone and access to the World Wide Web and everything else and say like, good luck, I hope you can figure it out? Like that's really scary. The access. So parenting right alongside them. I also love David, Thomas, and Sissy Goff. We went to their conference. Shout out. We love you.
Super fans over here.
Super fans. And I think it was them that shared, hey, don't be the very first, but don't be the very last around tech. And I loved that. And I couldn't agree with that more just from what I see. You know, in middle school, they may need a phone just for the sake of like access, like, hey, where are you? You know, smartwatch, something like that. But in terms of the freedoms that you give them on there, I would say hold off as long as you possibly can and make it cool to not have one. Like, what kind of world can you create for them that's just so incredible that they're not even like missing out? Like, they just think they have so much opportunity in other ways. And I would rather my child be uncomfortable than have access to a really scary world. And I think that's the root.
One thing that David was saying was that when the child says, I feel left out, you just kind of have to say, like, I know you're feeling left out.
Yeah.
And know that you're also ideally trying to protect them from the comparison, the anxiety, the extra pressure, the depression that can come from giving them access to so much more. So they may feel what's this negative emotion, and ideally you're saving them from a lot more weightier ones too. And saying to be the second to last is because they were even saying the last is you do want to train them in your home. Some good practices with it. And if you're last and they're all of a sudden going to college and having a free-for-all, then they didn't have no
guidance,
no helpful stair step to get there, which I think is important.
I agree. I think the end all be all though is that you are such an integral part of all of it. You got to stay involved.
I remember I got my first phone in 8th grade.
Okay, I was at the end of 7th.
Yep. And I remember it was this like big Nokia one.
Yes, the flip.
Yes, flip phone. And you had to type with the 9-digit keypad.
Oh, absolutely.
I could still, if you need it, it'll come right back.
I was going to say, I bet that's muscle memory.
It is. Like I could go like this so fast.
Remember Snake?
Snake. Classic.
Like what were apps? But like we had Snake.
We had Snake. I loved Snake.
No, that was like Snake, and I texted my mom and dad. Like that was pretty much all I had.
But I remember once you text people, I remember again like the pressure of wanting someone to text back.
Oh yeah.
How long do you wait? What's the gap? Like how do you keep it open? When is someone like over it or ghosting? And even texting has this social dynamic and pressure outside of social media.
I think texting's worse. Yeah.
Especially you dating right now.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
We can cut that part if you want.
You can leave it in. It's very real and exhausting. Don't recommend. I literally that's really funny and really, really real. I am as vulnerable as they come about that. It takes every ounce of effort I have. But, okay, back to the kids though. The amount of drama that happens in our school context, I would say 85% of it is happening via text, and then it shows up in our culture at school. So it's not even happening at school. Like our hallways and our days, they're very peaceful. They're very, the kids are focused, they're learning. But then all of this happens at night over tech, and it comes back to us in the morning. And it just... when we barely had the luxury of communicating with others via AIM and text at the very end of middle school. But for the most part, like you left your friends at the end of the day or the end of sports practice and you were like, love you, see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were hanging out.
You had no idea.
No idea what was going on. And we came back and it was not like we had... we would catch each other up. Yeah. We didn't have I know exactly where you were last night and what you were eating, wearing, doing.
Exactly. And that is very dangerous. Like they can be in communication 24/7. And I find that is where a lot of the drama stems from. We also, just like you're a keyboard warrior, on social media, it's the same thing. You will say things over text that you would never say to someone's face. And it can be so hurtful.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we're constantly, sometimes I feel like I'm like a CSI investigator, like trying to get to the root story because there's just so many layers and the Snapchat disappeared, but I promised they sent it. There's just like so much that you have to get to the bottom of, so many ways to hurt others. And when in middle school, just so many feelings get hurt, so it's just a big Mod Podge of everyone hurting each other because they all feel left out.
Okay. As a closing question, you mentioned identity and belonging being really key at this stage. So what can parents take away, or what's one practical tip or something they can do to help foster that in their child?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is allow them to try new things. Be curious with them. If they want to try a new fashion trend, try it. Let them try it with them, have fun with them as they explore different things, expose them to things, share your life with them, like delight in them as they're forming who they are, right? Like
I love that because again, we're super fans of David and Sissy, and she was saying if you like your kid, it teaches them I'm likable.
Yes, I loved when she shared that. And that's identity, right? Is you become more and more confident in who you are. And I believe when you foster that at home, when your child shows up in these spaces knowing who they are, even in middle school, you'll meet that child that really does know who they are or very confident in who they're becoming. And these dramas that are unfolding, the friend group, the group text, the academic pressure, it doesn't affect them in the same way as the child that is feeling really lost and caught up in the tornado of their identity. They get to come in with that foundation of like, my mom and my dad, my family, my faith, like has informed who I am. And I'm coming into this space with my feet on the ground a little bit more. And I might get knocked over a little bit, but like I'm rooted. And I think that is a huge role that external voices can play in building up the child. And I know another fun activity that maybe this is something you can do as a family, but I had a girl that I was mentoring a while back, and one day she came over and she's like, I really want to make cookies. And I'm like, absolutely. But I was thinking like, how can I turn this into a more fruitful time? Because I've shared with the mom that like, I will mentor her, you know, and quality time obviously is beautiful, but I really wanted to like dig a little deeper. So I told her, we're going to follow this recipe, but just like we have to follow a recipe to make the perfect cookie, there's a recipe that makes up who you are. So we pulled out a poster board and we made our own recipes of like, who is Gaia and who are you? And it was like, okay, we have a cup of this and a teaspoon of that and half a cup of this and quarter cup of that. Like, what values or character attributes do you want to be known for? And then at the bottom of the description, when it's like set the oven to 375 and cook for, then I was like, I just want you to sum up like, my name is Gaia and I want to be known for having a generous heart, treating others with kindness and making others laugh, whatever you want to be known for at that time. So it was so fun because she was like, I want to be known for having half a cup of kindness and a sprinkle of sass and just fun things like that helped her even begin to recognize like, this is who I am. This is what I want to be known for.
I love that. I love it's also about character.
Yes.
Can I guess what your ingredients are?
Oh my gosh, I would love that.
Yeah,
That's
if
fun.
I'm
Maybe
guessing.
yeah.
And tell me if some are unexpected or some you're like, definitely not.
Okay.
I think, honestly, like 4 cups of kindness. I feel like that one's in there.
That's
like,
kind.
Just so much kindness. I would say, I'm not going to do measurements. I'm just going to do the ingredients.
I know it's too much.
I think faith, and you've got challenger. I would say more than people. It's almost like a paprika kick.
Oh my gosh, paprika in the chocolate chip cookie. It's growing too. I would say there was like a sprinkle of it, and now I'm like confidently putting like a teaspoon in.
Yeah, I think it's like in every bite you get a little like, oh,
there it is.
There's
Shocking.
a little spice in there. I think you're very observant. And so I think it's also either it's curiosity or it's intelligence, because I think it's a little bit of both of like you pick up on undertones very well. You're putting things together. You're not explicitly saying it. You're also kind. So you're not going to like call it out, but nothing goes by you. Like you're very much understanding what's happening in a room. What's the equivalent of Nordstrom?
She's impulsive on occasion.
Yeah, something about impulse. Something about, money will figure itself out.
Gosh, yes. It grows on trees in my world.
It goes on trees.
Yeah. Optimistic.
That's a good one.
Oh my gosh.
Something about style and nails. Like something about like, just a little put together.
Yeah, how I present myself.
Something on seeking. Like seeking health, seeking growth, seeking, advancement. And then, I don't know, like, how there's like a cake and there's like a whole layer on top? It's obsessed with family. It is. You get Gaia, every bite is a bite of family because she loves them.
It's so true. I love them. I said that to someone today. I was like, if you know me for more than 5 minutes, you're going to hear about my family.
Yes.
And really, like, at the root of everything I just said today, it's because I grew up in a home that just did this so well, and I want the world to know about it. Like,
Gaia was
in it so deeply.
Gaia was wearing this shirt that said Gaia on it. We went to the farmer's market, and I was like, "That's cool." And she's like, "Oh, my parents got it for me," and I thought that was it. And I was like, "Oh, you have the best parents." She goes, "I know. They bought it for me before I was born." And then I was like, "What?" wow. And she
Take it to the next level.
yeah. And then she was like, they didn't give it to me until my 16th birthday.
It just kept adding.
It just got more and more romantic.
Oh my gosh. It's like the pressure that I feel to like do this parenting thing one day. I'm like, how am I supposed to name a child? Like show up? Like I better
Mother
find a
Earth over here.
The pressure is very high, but gosh, I'm just so grateful. Like I'm teary-eyed just thinking about it. They're just the best people, and my life is a result of that. And I just want that. I want that so badly for others. Because.
And what do you want to be known for?
Oh my gosh,
was that your answer before? Because you said that.
I do. What do I want to be known for? Oh my god, I'm tossing this back to you after.
Okay.
I want to be known for knowing who I am, who Christ has created me to be, and making others around me better.
Well, you are. Woo! She's already there. I think I want to be known for living life.
Yeah.
Like soaking up life, being present, doing the things I want to do, pursuing health and creativity and entrepreneurship and family, and just knowing that like in each area I want to soak up all the marrow.
That reminds me, my family was visiting a while back. Classic family story. Particularly my dad. He was here visiting, and we went to Ojai Valley Inn for dinner. The
Flex.
Best.
Okay.
No, the best. Like, we also like nice things. I learned that from them. But we were sitting next to an older couple that were celebrating his wife's birthday, and I think she was turning like 75, and we, everyone sang to her, and then we leaned over, we're like, what is it? Like, what's the secret, And we asked her, like, what would her life advice be? And then I turned to my dad, I was like, what would it be? And he said almost the same thing. He was like, I just want to be known for like soaking up every moment. Like I just loved this human experience and had so much fun soaking it all up. And I love that. What an epic way to live.
Coming from a man who like has a cold plunge in his backyard.
He's, cold plunge, long hair, all of it. But I have to do your ingredients.
Okay.
Okay. Are we ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm ready to eat.
Oh my gosh. I know. All right. So I would say we're going to go with the 4 cups because that's what you did for me. 4 cups of like go-getter. Like just you live with like such passion. I feel like passion, go-getter, like just nothing will stop you. I would say a cup of family and just the nostalgia that you're like currently creating. It's beautiful. Like the investment that you give to everything you do so wholeheartedly. Faith is a really big one. I would also say cups of faith, just the way that you live with such a quiet strength of who God created you to be, and like the wisdom that comes from that source is just so clear and makes you such a trustworthy voice. You definitely have some Challenger in you. I would say more than a teaspoon. Like I just love, maybe you could call it directness, like the confidence at which you deliver information and just feel so convicted about things, and you call people higher in that. I think that's kind of where the Challenger, like how it affects others. Let's see. You're so people oriented, like, which I feel like that goes with calling out the best in other people, but you're just the sacrifice, like you're just so for people. And I feel like you would be willing to step out of the way to see other people shine.
Thank
is
you.
Another one. There's so many. It's so hard to.
Those were enough.
No, that's not enough. Cut that out.
It's a good cake. No, I feel that's a pretty tasty dish.
No, I'm trying to think of like the lighthearted ones. Oh my gosh, marriage. Just the like way you've invested into that. Like that is like, that's a cake I hope I create one day.
Yes.
Just in the way that you have like poured into your relationship, and that's like the ripple effect that's created. But the intentionality, there it is. That's the ingredient, the intentionality at which you do everything. But I think marriage is a highlight for sure.
This month it's 13 years married.
Okay. I saw that when we were chatting the other day, and I was like, wait, what?
I was like, Erin, we have a teenager.
No. Oh my gosh, speak of.
Speak of.
Are you experiencing high highs and low lows?
Not like holding hands under blankets, but it's getting there.
I love that. A teenager in marriage.
Uh-huh.
That's amazing. No, you guys are such a model in how to do that well. That's a whole nother podcast, but you just recorded one, right?
Oh,
With Aaron?
the neurodivergence one. Yeah.
Either way, everything that you guys share on marriage is solid.
Thank you. Thank
So,
you. I loved
anyway.
you being on the episode.
We'll come back anytime. Absolutely honored that you would have me. Let me share my thoughts. But, if Abercrombie can rebrand, so can you.
That's the closing. That's the headline. If Abercrombie can rebrand, so can you. After middle school, you can come into your actual own. But thank you for listening. I don't know if it brought up your own middle school little T trauma or memories or the high highs or the low lows, but maybe you're also parenting someone in that stage. And it's also a little difficult to do with, again, the advancement of technology is just such the wild, wild west that we're still figuring out, but it is something to navigate. So I loved Gaia's experience share of what she's hearing in her office and how to navigate handling that as a parent. And ultimately, if you have a safe container at home, how that can kind of help be the home base that they come back to. But I hope you like, subscribe, and follow the episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. My socials are at Haven the Podcast, Instagram, and TikTok. I also have a newsletter you can sign up for at havenpod.com. And other than that, I'll see you on the next episode.